According to Elizabeth Miller, polls show that fewer Americans are calling themselves Republicans or Democrats, and the number of Americans unaffiliated with either party has reached an all-time high. Many of these people have taken up with one of America's many third parties. In particular, the Libertarian Party is among the largest of America's third parties. See, I chose this topic not only because I'm a libertarian, but I constantly hear people complain about the inefficiencies of our two-party system. I mean, the most common complaint that we all hear is that the Republicans are screwing up and the Democrats aren't doing anything to stop them. So we have very real issues with this system. In my speech today, I will inform you how libertarianism differs from the two mainstream political ideologies, conservatism and liberalism, and introduce you to concepts that are specific to libertarian ideology. Okay. First, libertarian ideology differs in practice from each of the major parties in significant ways. On social issues, libertarians will typically agree with liberals, but on the other hand, libertarians will side with conservatives on economic issues. So an example of a social issue would be, say, gay marriage. A liberal will say that the government should allow gay marriage, but a conservative will say that the government shouldn't. A libertarian will respond a bit differently. A libertarian will respond that it's not the government's role to decide who you can or cannot marry. So in effect, the libertarian agrees with the liberal, just in a slightly different way. And then, of course, a fiscal example would be taxes. A liberal needs high taxes in order to fund its programs, and a conservative wants low taxes. And of course, the libertarian wants low taxes as well. And in a libertarian government, you really don't need high taxes, so that works out. Okay, and then I have a graph depicting that, so you can see it well. You can find this test at politicalcompass.org. This is one of the best political tests that you can take out there for free. And so what they have two scales on here. There's the fiscal scale and economic scale. This horizontal line measures where you stand fiscally. So, and it's very straightforward. If you're liberal, if you're a fiscal liberal, you score over here. If you're a fiscal conservative, you score over there. And then it gets a bit more complicated when we factor in the second scale. The vertical scale is the social scale. And if you're socially liberal, you score down here. Socially conservative, you score up here. And these are actually my results. So as you can see that I'm what they call a left libertarian. So if you don't score down here, you're not really so much a libertarian. Your score up here, you're pretty much a centrist. So there's a bit difference. Okay, now I'd like to move to my second point and explain how libertarians differ ideologically. And there are a number of ways in which libertarians differ ideologically. According to The Challenge of Democracy by Yonda, Berry, and Goldman, libertarians grudgingly recognize the necessity of government, but believe that it should be as limited as possible. In the libertarian government, in the libertarian administration, the government is limited strictly to protecting its people from violence and influence. That's the entirety of the government's duty. So, libertarians believe that everyone should be free to do whatever they wish with their own bodies or property, on the single condition that their actions do not infringe on the rights of another to engage in that same freedom. So an example of that would be incest. In a libertarian government, there are no laws against incest. And I know that sounds a bit controversial, but it's not really as bad as you think it is, because society will still condemn incest, but the government will play no part in the condemnation. And anyone who's familiar with the social control theory knows that that's a more effective system anyway. So, and another example would be drugs. Also in a libertarian government, there are no drug laws. So you're not going to go to jail for possession of marijuana or doing cocaine, heroin, all that stuff. So understandably, a key aspect to this ideology is the idea of personal responsibility. You are considered the absolute owner of your life, so you should be responsible for yourself. So, in conclusion, today I informed you of basic libertarian ideology and how that translates into practice in our two-party system. If you're tired of dealing with the Democrats or the Republicans, like most Americans are, I urge you to look into one of America's many third parties, if not the Libertarian Party. I mean, 'cause chances are, if you don't sync up entirely with the Democrats or the Republicans, there's a third party out there that matches your views down to the exact detail, but you just have to do the research and find out who they are. Thank you for your time.